Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speak and Feel English. This is Mia, and today we are diving into a topic that so many English learners struggle with, yet it is rarely explained the right way.
And I'm Ethan. Today we're talking about something very practical and very powerful: how to train your mouth to speak English. Not just understand it, not just think in it, but actually speak it smoothly and confidently.
Exactly, because a lot of learners say, I understand English, but I can't speak it. And honestly, that problem is not about knowledge, it's about physical training.
That's such an important point. Speaking is not just mental, it's also physical. Your mouth, your tongue, your lips, they are muscles, and like any muscle, they need practice.
Right. Think about it this way. If someone learns how to play the piano, they don't just read notes, they practice with their fingers every day. Speaking English works the same way.
But many learners skip that step. They listen, they read, they watch videos, but they don't actually speak enough.
And even when they do speak, they often speak very little or very slowly, which doesn't really train the mouth properly.
So let's break it down. Why exactly do people struggle to speak English even after learning it for years?
There are three main reasons. First, they don't practice speaking out loud consistently. Second, they're afraid of making mistakes. And third, their mouth is not used to producing English sounds.
That third one is the most interesting, because even if your brain knows the sentence, your mouth might not be able to say it smoothly.
Yes, and that's where training comes in. You have to teach your mouth how English feels.
I like that phrase, how English feels, because speaking is not just about correctness, it's about flow and comfort.
Exactly. When you speak your native language, you don't think about every word. It flows naturally. That's because your mouth is trained.
So the goal is to reach that level in English, where speaking feels natural, not forced.
And the good news is, it's completely possible, but it requires the right method.
So let's talk about the first technique, speaking out loud every day.
Yes, not in your head, not silently, but out loud, even if you're alone.
Because when you speak out loud, your brain and your mouth start working together.
And that coordination is the key. Without it, you may understand everything but still struggle to speak.
Let me ask you something, Mia. How much time should someone spend speaking daily?
Honestly, even 15 to 20 minutes of focused speaking practice can make a huge difference, if done correctly.
And what does correctly mean here?
It means speaking clearly, forming full sentences, and not rushing. Also, repetition helps a lot.
Repetition is powerful. It builds muscle memory.
Yes, and muscle memory is exactly what we need to train the mouth.
Let's go deeper into repetition because many learners misunderstand it. They think repeating sentences is boring or unnecessary, but in reality, repetition is one of the most powerful tools for improving spoken English.
That's absolutely true. When you repeat a sentence several times, you are not just memorizing it, you are actually training your mouth to move in a certain way. Your tongue starts recognizing the positions, your lips adjust naturally, and the sounds begin to flow more easily.
And this is where consistency becomes very important. Doing it once or twice won't make a big difference, but practicing daily creates long-term results.
Exactly. Think of it like going to the gym. You don't build strength in one day, but if you practice regularly, your muscles grow stronger. In the same way, your speaking muscles become more flexible and responsive with repetition.
I also think learners should focus on how they repeat. It's not about saying the sentence quickly, it's about saying it clearly and correctly.
Yes, clarity is more important than speed. Many learners try to speak fast because they think it sounds fluent, but if the pronunciation is unclear, communication becomes difficult.
So a better approach is to start slow, focus on each word, and then gradually increase speed as you become more comfortable.
That's right. And another powerful technique is shadowing. This is something that many advanced learners use.
Shadowing is such an effective method. For those who don't know, shadowing means listening to a sentence and repeating it immediately, almost at the same time as the speaker.
Yes, and this method helps you copy the rhythm, pronunciation, and intonation of natural speech. It's like training your mouth to match a native speaker's flow.
And at first, it might feel difficult because your brain and mouth are trying to keep up at the same time.
But that challenge is exactly what makes it effective. It pushes your speaking ability to a higher level.
Another thing I've noticed is that learners often hesitate too much before speaking. They try to think of the perfect sentence.
That's a very common issue. People want to avoid mistakes, so they overthink every word, but this actually slows down their progress.
So, what should they do instead?
They should focus on speaking freely, even if it's not perfect. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. In fact, making mistakes helps your brain and mouth improve faster.
That's a powerful mindset shift. Instead of fearing mistakes, learners should see them as opportunities to grow.
Exactly. And when you speak without fear, your mouth becomes more relaxed. That relaxation is very important for fluency.
Because tension can block natural speech.
Yes, when you're nervous, your speech becomes stiff and unnatural. But when you're relaxed, your words flow more easily.
So, confidence plays a big role here.
Definitely. But confidence doesn't come first. It comes from practice. The more you speak, the more confident you become.
I like that. Practice creates confidence, and confidence improves performance.
Exactly. It's a cycle. And once you get into that cycle, your progress becomes faster.
Let's talk about another important aspect speaking in full sentences.
Yes, this is very important. Many learners answer in single words or very short phrases, which doesn't really train their speaking ability.
So instead of saying just yes or no, they should try to expand their answers.
Right. For example, instead of saying yes, they can say, "Yes, I think that's a great idea," because it helps improve communication.
That kind of response trains your mouth to handle longer sentences,
And it also improves your ability to think in English.
which is another key skill for fluency.
Absolutely. When you start thinking in English, your speaking becomes much faster and more natural.
So, how can learners start thinking in English?
One simple way is to describe things around you in English. For example, if you are sitting in a room, you can say, "I am sitting on a chair. There is a table in front of me."
That sounds simple, but it's very effective.
Yes, because it trains your brain to form sentences automatically.
And when your brain becomes faster, your mouth follows.
Exactly. Everything is connected: your thoughts, your speech, and your physical ability to produce sounds.
Now that we've talked about repetition, shadowing, and speaking without fear, I think it's time to focus on something equally important pronunciation and sound control.
Absolutely, because training your mouth is not just about speaking more, it's also about speaking correctly. If your pronunciation is unclear, even a correct sentence can be hard to understand.
That's true, and many learners feel frustrated when people ask them to repeat what they said, even though they used the right words.
Yes, and that's usually a pronunciation issue, not a vocabulary problem. The way you say a word matters just as much as the word itself.
So, how can learners improve their pronunciation effectively?
The first step is awareness. You need to listen carefully to how words are actually pronounced, not how they are written.
That's a key point. English spelling can be confusing, and many words are not pronounced the way they look.
Exactly. So instead of guessing, learners should listen to native speakers and try to imitate them as closely as possible.
And this is where listening and speaking work together again.
Yes, they are deeply connected. The more you listen, the better you understand the sounds. And the better you understand the sounds, the easier it becomes to produce them.
I've also noticed that breaking words into smaller parts can help with pronunciation.
That's a great technique. When a word feels difficult, you can divide it into syllables and practice each part slowly before saying the full word.
And once you're comfortable, you can bring the parts together and say the word naturally.
Exactly. This step-by-step approach makes even complex words easier to handle.
Another important factor is stress and intonation.
Yes, this is something many learners ignore, but makes a huge difference. English is not flat, it has rhythm. Some words are stressed more than others, and sentences have a natural rise and fall.
And without that rhythm, speech can sound robotic or unnatural.
That's right. Even if every word is correct, the sentence may still sound off if the intonation is wrong.
So, learners should pay attention to how sentences sound as a whole, not just individual words.
Exactly. Listening to conversations, podcasts, and real speech patterns can help develop this sense of rhythm.
Let's talk about another challenge: hesitation during speaking.
Yes, hesitation is something almost every learner experiences. You start a sentence, then pause, then try to think of the next word.
And those pauses break the flow of speech.
Exactly. But the solution is not to eliminate pauses completely, it's to manage them better.
What do you mean by that?
Well, instead of stopping completely, learners can use simple linking phrases like, well, let me think, or I believe.
That's a great strategy. It keeps the conversation flowing while giving you time to think.
Yes, and it also makes your speech sound more natural.
Another thing I've noticed is that learners often translate from their native language before speaking.
That's a very common habit, and it slows everything down. When you translate, your brain is doing extra work, which creates hesitation.
So the goal should be to think directly in English.
Exactly. And as we discussed earlier, practicing simple descriptions can help with that.
I also think speaking with yourself can be a powerful exercise.
Definitely. Self-talk is one of the most underrated techniques. You can talk about your day, your plans, or even your thoughts, all in English.
And the best part is there's no pressure. No one is judging you.
Yes, which makes it easier to practice freely and build confidence.
Let's also mention recording yourself.
That's a very effective method. When you record your voice and listen to it, you can identify your mistakes more clearly.
And sometimes you notice things that you wouldn't realize while speaking.
Exactly. It gives you a different perspective on your speech.
At first, it might feel uncomfortable to hear your own voice.
Yes, but that's completely normal. Over time, you get used to it, and it becomes a valuable learning tool.
So, if we combine all these techniques, pronunciation practice, rhythm awareness, reducing hesitation, self talk, and recording, we get a very strong system for improvement.
Absolutely. And the key is to apply these techniques regularly, not just occasionally.
Because consistency builds habit.
And habit builds fluency.
I think that's a powerful idea. Fluency is not something you suddenly achieve, it's something you build step by step.
Exactly. Every small effort contributes to long-term progress.
Now that we've covered pronunciation, rhythm, and reducing hesitation, I think it's time to talk about something that directly impacts fluency: building speaking stamina.
That's a great point. Many learners can speak English for a few seconds or maybe one or two sentences, but they struggle to continue speaking for a longer period.
Exactly, and that's because their mouth is not trained for extended speaking. Just like physical exercise, you need endurance.
Yes, speaking stamina is like endurance training for your voice and your brain. If you don't practice speaking for longer durations, your fluency will always feel limited.
So, how can learners improve their speaking stamina?
One simple method is timed speaking practice. Set a timer for 1 or 2 minutes and speak continuously on any topic without stopping.
That sounds challenging, especially for beginners.
It is challenging at first, but that's the point. Growth happens when you push your limits. Even if you repeat ideas or make mistakes, the goal is to keep speaking.
And over time, those 1 or 2 minutes can become 5 or even 10 minutes of continuous speaking.
Exactly. And that's when you start noticing real improvement in fluency.
Another helpful technique is storytelling.
Yes, storytelling is excellent because it naturally encourages longer sentences and connected ideas.
For example, instead of saying short phrases, you can describe an experience like what you did yesterday or a memorable event.
And when you tell a story, your brain organizes information in a sequence, which makes your speech more structured and natural.
I also think asking yourself questions and answering them can be very effective.
Definitely. You can create your own mini conversations. Ask a question like, "What are my goals for this week?" And then answer it in detail.
That way, you're practicing both thinking and speaking at the same time.
Yes, and it also helps you become more comfortable expressing your ideas clearly.
Let's talk about vocabulary for a moment. Many learners believe they need a huge vocabulary to speak fluently.
That's a common misconception. You don't need extremely advanced words to communicate effectively. What you need is the ability to use simple words confidently and correctly.
So instead of focusing on difficult vocabulary, learners should focus on using everyday words in full sentences.
Exactly. Fluency is not about complexity, it's about clarity and ease.
Another important aspect is linking words and phrases.
Yes, linking words like because, so, however, and therefore help connect ideas and make your speech more natural.
Without them, sentences can feel disconnected.
That's right. These small words play a big role in creating smooth and logical speech.
I've also noticed that learners often stop speaking when they forget a word.
Yes, and that's something they should avoid. Instead of stopping, they should try to explain the idea using other words.
That's a very useful skill, paraphrasing.
Exactly. For example, if you don't remember the word calculator, you can say a device used for calculating numbers.
And that keeps the conversation going without interruption.
Yes, and it also shows strong communication skills.
Let's talk about confidence again, but from a slightly different angle. Body language.
That's interesting because body language does affect how we speak. Even if you're practicing alone, standing straight and speaking clearly can improve your confidence.
And when you feel confident physically, your voice becomes stronger and more stable.
Exactly. Your posture, your breathing, and your tone all contribute to effective speaking.
Breathing is another important factor.
Yes, controlled breathing helps you speak longer sentences without running out of air. It also keeps your voice calm and steady.
So, taking a natural breath before speaking can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It helps you stay relaxed and maintain a smooth flow.
Another technique I'd like to mention is practicing with real-life situations.
Yes, that's very practical. You can imagine situations like ordering food, having a conversation with a friend, or giving an opinion on a topic.
And then you can practice speaking as if you are actually in that situation.
Exactly. This prepares your mind and your mouth for real conversations.
So when the real moment comes, you feel more prepared and less nervous.
Yes, because your brain recognizes the situation and your mouth already knows what to do.
That's a powerful combination.
It really is. Preparation reduces fear, and practice builds confidence.
So if we look at everything we've discussed so far, stamina, storytelling, simple vocabulary, linking words, paraphrasing, and real-life practice, it all comes down to one idea.
And that idea is consistent, active speaking.
Exactly. Not passive learning, but active speaking.
Because at the end of the day, the only way to train your mouth to speak English is to actually use it.
As we move into the final part of our discussion, I think it's important to bring everything together and focus on one final idea: long-term consistency and mindset.
Absolutely, because all the techniques we've discussed, repetition, shadowing, pronunciation, stamina, and real-life practice, they only work if you apply them consistently over time.
That's the key. Many learners start with motivation, but they stop after a few days or weeks when they don't see immediate results.
Yes, and that's where mindset becomes crucial. Learning to speak English is not a quick process, it's a gradual transformation.
And every day of practice, even if it feels small, is contributing to that transformation.
Exactly. Even speaking for 10 minutes a day can create a powerful impact over time if you stay consistent.
I think learners should also focus on progress, not perfection.
That's very important. If you wait to speak perfectly, you will delay your progress. Instead, focus on improving step by step.
Because fluency is built through imperfect practice.
Yes, and each mistake you make is actually helping you learn faster. It shows you what needs improvement.
Another thing that can really help is setting clear and realistic goals.
Definitely. For example, a learner can set a goal like, I will speak for 5 minutes every day, or I will practice shadowing for 10 minutes.
And when goals are clear, it becomes easier to stay disciplined.
Exactly. Discipline is what keeps you going, even when motivation is low.
Let's also talk about the environment. The more you surround yourself with English, the faster you improve.
Yes, creating an English-rich environment is very helpful. Listening to conversations, watching videos, and reading regularly all support your speaking skills.
Because your brain becomes more familiar with the language.
And when your brain is familiar, your mouth responds more naturally.
I also think it's important to enjoy the process.
Absolutely. If you treat learning as a burden, it becomes difficult to stay consistent. But if you enjoy it, practice feels natural.
So learners should choose topics they like and talk about things that interest them.
Yes, because when you are interested in a topic, you naturally want to express your thoughts.
And that makes speaking easier and more engaging.
Another powerful habit is reflecting on your progress.
That's a great point. Sometimes learners feel like they are not improving, but when they look back, they realize how far they've come.
Exactly. Recording your speech regularly and comparing it over time can show clear improvement.
And that builds confidence.
Yes, confidence grows when you see real progress.
Let's also remind learners that everyone learns at a different pace.
That's very important. You should not compare yourself to others. Your journey is unique.
And what matters most is that you keep moving forward.
Exactly. Even slow progress is still progress.
Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the key ideas from today's conversation.
Sure. First, speak out loud every day to train your mouth.
Second, use repetition and shadowing to build muscle memory.
Third, focus on pronunciation, rhythm, and natural speech patterns.
Fourth, build speaking stamina through continuous practice.
And finally, stay consistent, be patient, and enjoy the learning process.
Because fluency is not a talent, it's a skill that anyone can develop with the right approach.
Exactly. And once your mouth becomes trained, speaking English will feel natural and effortless.
And that's the goal, not just to speak English, but to speak it with confidence and ease.
So, keep practicing, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep believing in your progress.
All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode.
Thank you so much for listening to Speak and Feel English.
If you found this conversation helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful English podcast episodes like this.
And don't forget to keep practicing every single day.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and keep speaking with confidence.